on this beautiful afternoon. I just want to give the world some type of insight on the way things unravel beautifully towards my big commission in New York City. It all started with exhibiting a really large epic painting that I exhibited at City Arts Salon along with another artist. Rarely do I take this painting out of the house because it's so big. It's this, 10 foot by 5 foot painting. And I remember taking it up the steps to City Arts Salon and having it hung so beautifully. Unbeknownst to me, this painting was being followed. A collector was following and watching the advertisement of the piece at City Arts Salon. The next place that this epic painting called Resurrection was exhibited was at the Philadelphia School District, and I had the curator called and needed a large space to be covered. A couple of artists had canceled, and it was there that I got a call from a collector saying, I must have that painting. And I didn't realize which one that he was talking about. He kept saying that painting. I'm like, this one? No, not that one, the big one. From that point, after wrapping the painting and delivering it to the collector, something really special happened. I went out to sign it, and he said to me, Pauline, your work belongs to the world. He said, your work is so beautiful, it belongs in museums. And he wanted me to sign it in front of him, of course, of which we did. And it was just those words that you don't hear often. From that point, I would say a few months after that, maybe even 2 months after that, led me to this great commission. So, the question everyone wants to know is how did you get such a good big commission? How did you meet the folks of Wells Fargo? Again, I'm really, in my life, I'm nothing without bold moves, and I have to always make bold moves. And we found ourselves in this social situation with this couple. We've known this couple for a while and really dug them. I knew this person did a lot with architecture, and I knew that they were employed by Wells Fargo, but I didn't have a lot of information. But I began a manifestation, and this is really important. I began a manifestation of where I wanted my art to be and who I wanted to buy my art. It was very specific in my manifestation, my talking about it. And one of my fondest memories is driving my son to school going, hey Xander, who has the most money in the world? And he would say, corporations. And who else? Banks. I would say, correct. Then those are the folks that will buy my work. My work is big. I have a lot of it. And I have to present my work to those who have a lot of money. It's business. And I began to manifest things in that way and really take the deep emotion out of, the angst of being an artist and how and who and where, the cliche places of where I should sell them, i.e. being represented by a gallery. So we're at this event, and fine, it was a gin party and it was lovely. We're at this event, and I knew it was the night that I needed to approach this woman who I found out recently was the head of construction and architecture from Maine to Miami, as far inland as Ohio. And I thought I really need to say something to her about what I do and what I'm proposing for corporations and banks and moneyed people to speak with her about this. But I wanted to come off in a way that it wasn't beggy, or that it wasn't like, hook me up. I began to talk to her about proposals that I was thinking of writing for a specific airport that I noticed was really bleak. Not our airports filled with art, but another airport, i.e. Dulles. And I was asking her how she felt about the architecture, and she said, I don't know much about the architecture, but I know that I want to commission you to do a piece for us for 30 Hudson Yards. It started out with one piece, and I thought deep in my mind and deep in my soul, no, you're not going up to New York for one piece. You're going to do multiple pieces. I just knew. And I just said that was my feeling all along. So they said, well, look, send us something over the weekend. And I did. I sent about 20 pieces. They said it had to be all abstract, nothing representational, which is like, I do representational work, look what's sitting behind me. But within my work there is abstract line, there's expressionistic lines. And so what I did is what is abstract, I began to abstract from my own work to come up with my own style of abstraction. And I sent it over to them so that when they got to their computers on Monday, they had about 20 pieces, and then they were like, when can you be in New York to meet with the design team? And that's when it began. And everything they asked me for, I just simply gave it to them. I always knew I was an artist as a child, and I always kind of demanded that the world know by what I did and how boldly I did it. It starts with a time when my dad found out about a scholarship program at the Philadelphia Museum of Art when we were younger. I was 5. And I was too young to go to the program. I was devastated. My older brothers and sisters went, and I thought, yeah, they were good artists, but they weren't as good as me. And I was furious. I begged my father to let me go, and he said, no, you're too young. But to appease me, he would take me through the museum when my brothers and sisters were in the classes. And so he'd take me through the museum, and one of my fondest memories is seeing Rauschenberg, and Dad taking me by the hand to see the Morris Jeep or some of the other iconic pieces that have always been at the Philadelphia Museum of Art. And I thought, this is my castle, right? Fast forward to many years later, I never got to go to the program. Fast forward, many years later, I woke up and decided that I want to go work at the castle, and I told my husband I'm going to work at the castle, and he said, what are you talking about? I said, I'm going to work at the Philadelphia Museum of Art. I'm going to go there and teach. And I found this wonderful brochure. It was actually Cheryl McKinley Broker who wrote their newsletter, and I thought, oh, they're being inclusive, they have diversity, they're looking for teachers of color. And I took the brochure, and I took my brochure, and I went to get on the bus to go to tell them I was coming to work, to teach at the museum, to teach the children. Bus never came. I walked all the way there, got there, walked down the hall, and saw this woman, and I said, I've come to teach the children here in the education department at the museum. And she says, oh, well, that's wonderful. Do you have an interview? And I said, no, but I would like to meet someone and speak to someone about the position. And I held out the newsletter that talked about wanting to include more children of color, more Latino children in different so-called underserved communities. And I walked in. She said, well, let me take you to the education director who does the programming. And she took me in, and from that point on, I said, you guys need me. I'm coming to work here. And everyone got such a kick out of it. I worked there for a good 7 years before Xander was born. And I tell this story because I'm nothing without bold moves. And Marla Shoemaker always recounts that story of walking down the hall. The person that I was talking to was the head person of the education department, and she grabbed me aside and told me for years that she thought that was the boldest, greatest thing anyone could ever do. So